Heavy metal
My
rock.
global mind.
Sometimes love is pain. Yeah, it hurts for a little while. Some things you can't change. I'm preaching to the choir. Knives in the back, ready to attack. Knives in the back. Running right back like a maniac. Running right back. Check, check. Running right back. Running right back. And the truth is, if it doesn't hurt at all, then it doesn't mean a thing. I never knew that I could feel this way.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Another episode on My Global Mind on the Rock and Metal Magazine on YouTube and, of course, on our website. Today, we're hanging out with Nothing More Guitars, Mark Vollelunga. Here he is, live in the flesh.
Hey,
What's
howdy,
up?
howdy.
What's up,
How
brother?
are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Of course.
I want you to kind of get into for first-time fans of the band that don't know your history. Nothing More has been around a long time now. Obviously, you guys are well established now in the rock and metal community, but for new fans, kind of take us to the history of the band, how you came about, how you all met, and where we are now.
Of course. So, yeah, we really, I'd say, actually became a band in 2005. I feel like you really become a band when you finally play outside of your hometown and you actually start touring. Our first release was in '04, full length, and Johnny, our singer, was actually our drummer. So we did that for a little while. Then in 2008, things shifted after several different singers. We decided, he had the best harmony voice out of all of us. So he took over vocals, and it's like, okay, we'll just find a different drummer. He was a very good drummer, so it was a little hard to replace. But, we found a few different guys and we kept it going. And 2013, we got signed and really kind of made it a more national and international name. And since then we've had, let's see, that we did the self-titled record, The Stories We Tell Ourselves, Spirits, and now that leads us to Carnal, which will be so soon, June 28th.
That's
So,
right.
so pumped.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I'll have to say a quick story on our magazine. We've been around since '08, and one of the first records that we reviewed from your band was the Fleeting record. I think it was
Nice.
in 2010 when you guys hadn't arrived yet. I would say, right? It was still pretty early for your band.
Sure.
And the Few Not Fleeting, great record. And one of my writers, he gave it a perfect score. That's how I actually started listening to your music because I didn't know you guys then. This was a while ago. That's a long time ago. And
Yeah.
he saw really good potential in just the music was different. It wasn't just you couldn't categorize your music then, and it's evolved from that point on. And I think from being a fan of the band, you gotten better every record seems like, and it's obvious with the following you guys have now and being well established. You're constantly touring, which is great. You gotten better every record, and I can say, but listen to this new one. There's so much killer stuff on this one that I think fans are gonna like it.
Well, it's too kind. Appreciate that. Yeah, I did. View Not Fleeting was 15 years ago. That's awesome that that's how you got turned on to it.
Yeah.
I didn't know how much, we'd go over to Louisiana and we would get to Alabama, Georgia, in like 2009, 2010 touring, but it was a little far from Texas, and we kind of really just kept things regionally to just grow that and kind of like take care of our region and grow the buzz there to get people excited. That's awesome that you found out about it. Yes, I still like that record. Put it on from time to time. There's some good jams on it.
Well, it's
Um,
interesting. I was going to ask, this leads me to one of my questions is, obviously, I'm sure you always get asked your progression from that specific earlier on record till where you're at now. I mean, what do you recall from the recordings of that one? And then now, it's been a long time.
yeah, actually, both that record and this record are similar for in exactly the opposite reasons, which is a funny thing to say. Basically, we had been only working with producers up until that point. And we decided, you know what? Like, we go to a studio, we pay all this money, and it's like we fight for these ideas. We're told they're dumb, or, it's like we have to convince somebody else to do it. So it's like, we're just going to do it ourselves. And so the whole Few Not Fleeting record, it was self-produced. So was the self-titled. So was Stories We Tell Ourselves, and so was Spirits. So now takes us to here, and this is our first time working with a producer again. Since then, now that we have a track record and we know what we're doing, so we kind of came to this equal level, I'd say, like working with a producer again, and we fell on or got introduced to Drew Folk, Wizard Blood, and really hit it off immediately very well. He's a great mediator for when we kind of get in a stalemate of ideas, two people on this side, two people on that side, and he's a good pacifist in that regard to like smooth things over, as well as he's just great with his producer skills. He's wizard lightning fast production, and that really helps keep the ball rolling. And honestly, at this stage in our lives, we've all kind of, I'm married. My son's 11. He's starting middle school next year. We all have lots of other commitments and parts of life that we have to get started on, and so we don't have the same amount of time, and we're not going to all like live in the same house and do all this again. But at the same time, I know I'm going off here, and I know
Oh,
I
you're good, man.
apologize. It's
You're
a long-winded answer.
good.
But that being said, we know what we're doing. We've been doing this for 20 years. It doesn't take us as long to get to where we need to go, to write a song, to figure out the lyrics, to do the guitars, the bass, the drums, all that stuff. We know what our sound is. We know what our strengths are. Um, so yeah, this is it's a cool different phase we're in right now. We still, kept a lot of the instrumentals that we tend to do, keeping that artistic side alive, and we did self-produce all those. But the meat of the record was definitely with producer and with Drew, and we're very excited, even working on the one after this. It's going to be good. We feel really good about it.
Excellent. I have two follow-ups, and I was smirking about this because Drew Folk he's very well known now in the metal world. He's a very well known producer.
Yeah.
He writes a lot of stuff for a lot of bands that people that listen to our magazine and read it will know. But I was thinking, I'm smirking because like Wizard Blood. How does one get a nickname like that?
That's true. I don't even remember the story, to be honest. I think I asked him the exact same question, and it was one of those things that, okay, got it. That makes sense. Now I've totally forgot.
Yeah, that was
But
the first thing I thought of, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
yeah,
It's all
yeah,
good, man. He must be really good at what he does. So there you go. That's good.
absolutely. Yeah, he's great. And
Yeah,
he's about to become a father. I'm so stoked for him.
that's awesome.
His wife is 9 months pregnant, so any day she's gonna pop type of thing, which is crazy. He's got his to-go bag ready, and he couldn't be more excited to be a dad. I'm proud of him.
I was gonna say too when you said that you have a kid as well. You're married. I have two myself, 10 and 5, a boy and a girl. So it's a lot of work, my friend. So yeah, it's you
Yes,
know
sir.
balancing it out.
Yeah,
So I feel you on that. Excellent.
yeah.
So yeah, so we know that it's well produced. You have you're working with. It had been a minute since you worked with the producer, like you were saying. That was one of the questions why I had it in here. Just the difference from and I think that was it your manager that was involved in a lot of the stuff with you guys for years, right? With previous records.
Absolutely. Yeah. Will Hoffman is like the fifth member of the band. He is our manager, still is our manager, crushes it. And he had actually co-mixed and co-produced every album up until now. Basically, this is the first album he's not involved with at all, which is kind of sad and exciting and just different. This is just where we're at, and he's just solely focusing on the business side of things and doing a great job. It frees him up to do all that. I know he's bummed to not really get his hands dirty being creative, but he's got lots to do, and he's fine.
Yeah, Absolutely. So let's get into the record. So Carnal, I've listened to the promo a few times, obviously. And you have like a trilogy of songs, like Nothing More songs to me. When I listen to your records, as they progress through the years, you always have these crazy, really, really good anthems in your music, right?
Hmm.
Songs that just play really well live. And
Hmm.
this record is the same. The last one, Spirits was the same one too. It had some really great songs. The record before that has some killer, anthems in it. And Cardinal has those songs too. So, we'll start with some of the stuff that kind of piqued my interest when I was listening to it. House on Sand's a great chorus in that song. It's just a killer song. Very
Thanks,
catchy
man.
stuff. If it doesn't hurt, man, when I first heard this song, when the single came out, I was like, man, this is a deep song right here. You know,
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
only it's extremely catchy, it's like this is a prototypical Nothing More song, right? Everything about this song just works. But the lyrics,
Hmm.
this song, they cut pretty deep. Like I don't know if you can talk about the lyrics or not because I can only assume, and I'm not going to assume where the came from. So I'll let you do that if you want to do that. But I'm just interested in the lyrics in this song because they're pretty deep.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. No. What we do typically, nothing more is like, okay, we'll have how everybody's feeling in a session or something, and then somebody will kind of share something, and then we spin off that, and it starts a conversation. And then somewhere in there, a lot of the time, somebody says a line, and then that sticks out, and we really try to search for the focal point or the heartbeat of a song. What is it? And for this song, right, it did end up being the title of the song. If it doesn't hurt at all, then it doesn't mean a thing. And kind of spinning on that with like, when you have relationships fail, it's like, well, it's like, well, if I didn't feel anything, if it didn't hurt, then it didn't mean it. So going off that, and then we kind of tied that into holding on to hope, is a different kind of pain. And I think a lot of people that's a really connective line, and it's a really sad, desperate line and place to be if you've been, in a romantic relationship like that, where you're just, man, you're just holding out, and it's like maybe this time it's gonna be different. Maybe this time, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna do better, or they're gonna change, and it's like, but you reach this point to where it's like, this is just starting to do damage physically, mentally, emotionally, and you get past that threshold, and you just have to let it go. That point to where it's like, it's hard to stay and it's hard to go, and it's you just have to let it loose. I know, yeah, it is another breakup song, sort of, so to speak. But sometimes those songs are, they're cliche or whatever because they connect and they're relatable. And people really need songs like that when they're going through these tough times. I know a lot of songs and bands have helped me, through those times and other dark, challenging times in my life too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I think fans connect with your music that way. They're very raw lyrics, like, but they relate, because this is real. It happens all the time, unfortunately. But
I
that's a great
do.
song, man, and I'm glad it's doing well. I mean, I was listening to
Thanks.
my I have a metal playlist, of course, because I'm a big rock and metal guy, obviously. And it keeps on playing, man. That one and House on Sand all the time on the metal playlist on Spotify. It's
Hell
just
yeah.
it's a great song, man. I hope it keeps blowing up. So
Appreciate that. Yeah, just hit Billboard #1 mainstream on the mainstream rock song. So that's amazing, and it's still #1 on the
yeah,
active rock charts too. We couldn't be more blessed, proud of our team, and proud of the people for liking it and for playing. It's
yeah,
awesome.
absolutely, well deserved.
Thanks.
Angel Song is another one that's really obviously well done. That's just a great tune, man. With Draymond, I mean, he's great vocalist, obviously from Disturbed. So that's another one there. That those three are, I would say, top tier on the record. They're all just great singles. And it could be hits, which they're gonna be, I'm sure. The way things are going for you. Free Fall was another one that was really good. The more I listened to that one, the chorus, the more I liked it. That's another really good song. Existential Dread is another one that's that's interesting. The lyrics on that one are interesting too, but your guitar playing on that is really good, man. I don't know, it just feels really heavy, you know? Yes, I love that. So if you want to talk about that one, that'd be great.
No, appreciate it. Yeah, you know, that song we actually and musically had kind of written those riffs back in sort of the Spirits time, like late 2019. You know, one song was had kind of both of those monstrous riffs. And it's like, is this the same song? Should it be two different songs? And we just couldn't figure out what the verse or the chorus was supposed to be, but we knew the riff smashed. So sometimes that happens and you put the song to sleep, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, I'll wake you up in a few years and see what happens, you know, see if there's more energy, a fresh perspective on it. And that's exactly what happened. In late 22, we were kind of going through things. It's like, oh, remember this? Dude, this is awesome. Why didn't we do anything with this? So it totally sparked yeah, new life and kind of out of nowhere. I think Johnny or Dan were both like that. Somebody had come up with the line existential dread. And from there, it kind of, the song wrote itself in regards to that sort of that place you are in life. It's like where fear is like unending in a way that it's like you can't get out of your head. It's total analysis paralysis. It's like everything the idea of existential dread, you know, tomorrow is not promised and you can't escape it. There's no way you can defeat it. Death is always there. Sometimes that is a very um, hypnotic, like, yeah, paralysis that you can be in and then you stay stuck in your life. And that song is kind of matched with the music. It kind of felt like, yeah, this is a really dark, like heavy sort of metal jam. And we kind of went there, and the chorus, it took us a while to get there. We had different lyrics, and then it's like, well, why don't we just say this again? Because it's so strong, and it's the point of the song. It is quirky, you know, existential dread, but yes, it's like existential dread. We're here for a moment, and then it's the end, you know. So it is the light side of that song is you make the most of your life, you know, make every day count, do what you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like that song. The music is great and it matches well with the lyrics, but your guitar playing is excellent on that.
Ah, badass. Thanks, man.
No problem. Down the River is another one. When I was listening to that one, you know, so nothing more, you know, this I always pick up on your music is it's hard to categorize, right? Because you guys can play, you know, you can alternative, you want to call it alternative rock, metal, whatever, but you can go into these atmospheric grooves, and then you can mix your stuff with, you know, some electronic stuff, and then you know you have the harsh vocals, clean vocals. You guys can do a little bit of everything in your music. I mean, it's hard to categorize into one thing, and I'm
Mm,
not going to do that, but I think that's what kind of sets you guys apart from other bands. You know, there's so much parody in in music nowadays that it's hard to set yourself apart, you know, from other bands. And I think part of the reason, in my opinion, that you guys have been successful is because there's just not a lot of bands out there that sound like you. You sound
mm,
like nothing more. I mean, that's your sound, and it's
mm,
relatable to a lot of people, you know, between the lyrics and the music. So some of these songs, like for instance, I'll give you this one, like on Run for Your Life. I was listening to this, and I'm
mm.
man, this thing is a little bit trippy. Kind of sounds like some of the, I don't know if it was the keyboard or the synthesizers, but I was thinking like Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, man, and some of them.
Oh,
That's what brought to mind, like at the beginning and the end of that, you know. But
yeah.
you know, I don't know. Yeah, sometimes it's not intentional, obviously, when you're creating music. It just comes out that way. But I don't know. It's just interesting, right, to go through some of your music, and you have the interludes that you guys are, you know, known for in a lot of your music, which gives more of a, I don't know if it's atmospheric or it's, yeah, it gives mood into the songs, I guess, if you want to
Mm,
speak
mm.
that way. So that's another thing I guess that I was going to ask you about. How do you feel about putting those interludes in the songs, and does it specifically go as lead-ins into songs? Does it play part in you know the bigger concept, if it's even a concept of, you know, in an album? So I was just interested about that.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Some of our favorite records kind of take this approach to where they break up the album and it's about the ride, you know, and it really ebbs and flows through the entire listening experience. It's nice too with you know, rocking metal music because sometimes, those guitars or those cymbals can really give you ear fatigue. And it's like, I love this, but I'm kind of hurting right now. I need like a little break. So it's that we're definitely very cognizant of that. And honestly, a lot of this is probably us not wanting to let go of like these little gems of instrumentation. That
Mm.
it's like, if this can't be like in a song with vocals and lyrics, like, well, let's just do like an instrumental because it's so cool. Um, and then from there, it's like we can totally hit certain themes home. We can reinforce these motifs lyrically and conceptually with a record. And I truly think that that helps like really tie everything together a lot more. You talked about Down the River, and the heart instrumental on this record is definitely one of my favorites. And it's a favorite excerpt lecture from Alan Watts where he talks about the analogy of life being the river. And when you fight it, it's like you don't go anywhere. You have to let go, trust yourself to the water and let life take you where it's going to. And that's like kind of synonymous with faith in a lot of ways too, of you're just riding it all the way down. And if you're smart enough, you'll learn how to build a sail. You'll learn how to build a better boat, and you can kind of like weave in and out of all that. I know that's like that's spiritual and pretty deep, but it really reinforces the song Down the River because it's about that idea too. It's neat that the song that is probably the most pop singer songwriter oriented, Down the River, is probably about the most heady conceptual thing. I love when we can marry these two very different ideas, um, that juxtaposition and have it come together in such a cool way. I think it's my favorite song.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you explained that. I mean, I think for longtime fans of the band, they're going to understand. I mean, everything you guys make, there's more meaning to it, obviously, when you're creating art, and there's a reason those little bit of pieces of, interludes or whatever are in your music, and that's partially why, right? So they're connected, and they have a deeper meaning that's just something to throw in there, to add more time to the record, like some bands seem to do. But no, there's some meaning behind it, and I was actually interviewing another band this week about something similar, and they were a progressive metal band, and
Yeah,
they were, those songs typically the structure are a lot long, right? They're longer songs, 9 minute songs, and
right.
one of the guys that plays a lot of the instruments in the band, we were talking about this. He said, I don't like these long interludes, man. Like I just, little intros are good, but if you go on and go into these really long interludes, it takes away from the song. People just get lost, and what I'm saying, they lose track of what's going on. So the way you guys usually do it, you short little interludes that have meaningful stuff, and people can still stay tuned in and in sync with the record, as each track goes along. So that's good that you explained that. But I thought it was interesting, different concepts on that.
No, no, appreciate you saying all that. I do love some of those, like Dream Theater or whatever, the 10-minute
Yeah,
Odyssey songs to where
yeah,
you can just go to complete noodle land.
yeah.
There's a time and place for that. And sometimes it's cool, and then sometimes it's like, what are you doing?
Too much.
So, yeah, we try to be aware of that. And is it right to kind of go into this 7/8, progression that's like weird and noodle guitar and crazy drums right now? Is that right for the song? And lots of times the answer is no. It's like, oh well, tried for it, but that just didn't work with the song. As you listen to it, you gotta get away from what you did, get fresh ears, kind of come back, and that way you aren't too tightly married to the part too. It's like you need to, I always feel like, do the song justice and give the song what it wants. Sometimes it is cool to go there, and then sometimes it's a little self-indulgent,
Yeah. Yeah, I think we agree on that. That's a good point.
Yeah,
I was actually that's actually leads perfectly to one of the questions I had. So influences, right, for you as a guitar player. You mentioned Dream Theater. I mean, I'm a big progressive person too. I listen to a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously, we've been running the magazine for like 16 years. Everything
nice.
rock and metal we listen to. So,
Heck
but
yeah.
I started back years ago when I started it. years ago, the magazine, and I was very deep into prog metal, very deep into prog metal. So Dream Theater was up there, with other bands, like Queensryche and stuff like that, there who are, classics in my book. But when you were a listener growing up, did any of those bands play into your influences?
Absolutely. When I first started playing, it was um I was a big Mark Tremonti guy. Immediately learned all that stuff. I gravitated to Metallica for sure. Hammett and Hetfield, the H duo, they crushed it and learned all those songs. Really challenged myself to like learn these guitar solos. It was an exciting time, being a teenager and getting introduced to distortion. It's
Yes.
it's fun. From there, I got a little into theory a lot. Went to college and studied classical guitar. Favorite uh, composer Leo Brouwer. He's kind of more of a 20th century sort of odd classical guitar choice. He's really into dissonance. And I gravitated toward a lot of that. And from there, like Mike Einziger from Incubus,
Mm.
big influence of mine, and all the jazz guitar playing. Then there's some more like left of center guys like Joey Eppard. He's from the band Three. I don't. You mentioned you're real into prog music. If Do you know them
I've
perhaps?
heard of them, yes, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's just a great singer songwriter, but he plays this like amazing slap acoustic guitar and kind of like in this fusion style of like pre Andy McKee. Not to say that it's like Andy McKee's great and all that stuff's amazing, and I can't do it. I've tried doing some of that stuff and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw them live. They opened up for Coheed and Under Oath actually,
Yeah.
maybe in like early 2000 or something like that. And I was blown away by his style of playing. Really fell in love with a lot of that. Um, and then, from there, right, there's more modern kind of progressive rock stuff. Like I love the band Carnival
Mm.
and Dead Letter Circus, Australian Frog.
Yep.
Those guys are great. I swear there's something in the water down there that
Yep.
makes them write some amazing music. Um, yeah, and this goes for all of us and nothing more. We just try to be sponges about all music, absorb kind of like these good aspects of all music and then just kind of like squeeze it out, ooze it out into our music. It's where you can hear Muse and Rage Against the Machine, Tool, big Adam Jones fan for sure. Um, yeah, and no, everything's been done under the sun, but all we can do is just put our spin on
Yeah, no, that's
it.
that's actually a great insight into your guitar playing. You'll find this interesting that the Few Not Fleeting, the reviewer that we talked about earlier, he was one of the
Yeah,
he was one of my original writers when I first started the magazine. Like I said, years ago. This is in 2010. We
very
started
cool.
in 2008. He was from Australia.
Ah, that's awesome. Very cool.
And there is
Uh,
something in the water in Australia for prog. I agree with you. There's so many great progressive bands there.
yeah, special breed.
That's
Love
right.
them.
That's a great point. That's awesome. Um,
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about your live performances, right? So, I've seen you guys a couple times. We mentioned here in Huntsville when you guys played here, which you fantastic. This is a great show. But the first time I saw you guys was actually in I don't know if you remember this. This was a few years ago. The Exit 111 Festival. It was in Manchester, Tennessee.
yeah.
Do you
I
you,
definitely remember that.
you remember
Yep,
that one? Yeah.
I
So
do.
we were there covering that festival, and I was in the crowd for your performance when you guys played. And one guy before you guys came on, this one, a fan. There's a bunch of obviously nothing more fans there, and this one guy, it was a couple, and he came up to me. He's like, "Have you ever seen these guys live?" And I said, "No, no, but I know they're great." He's like,
Hmm.
"Dude, they're the best live band I've ever seen." And I
Oh,
laughed
dang.
because he was very like direct. He was 100%. He's like, "Dude, you're not gonna forget this performance." And he was
Hmm.
100% right. I mean, you guys put on a hell of a show. Um,
Dang. It's
it
too
was a
kind.
great.
I remember seeing Gojira at that
Oh
festival and
yeah,
being
yeah.
blown away. I'd seen them a few times, but they had just kind of got their video wall stuff together, and it was next level. It was like, this is this is so badass.
Well, you guys were, I would say, we were there all 3, 4 days. I think it was 3 days, 3-day festival, I think.
Yeah.
We were there all 3 days, and you guys were one of the best bands the whole festival. So
Uh,
but that was a great show, man. But where I'm going with this is your
too
live
kind.
performance, right? So I think that a lot of the fans relate to it because, obviously Johnny's a great vocalist too, but your shows are electric. I mean, you guys go 120% every time you go out there, nonstop from opening to end. And that has to like suck so much energy out of you guys because it's like nonstop, man, the whole show. Let's talk about that.
Thanks, man. No, no, appreciate it. And I think we're all very into that. We don't believe in the filler. We don't believe in mailing it in. It's the worst thing in the world to see your favorite band and just see them up there just bored. So it's really important for us to put on a good show, to challenge ourselves musically, keep it fresh, keep it exciting. It's a hard thing to do, when you play the same set for 6 weeks or whatever it is. You've been playing these songs for a long time, but you, that's up to you, man. Search for new ways to keep it exciting and keep it interesting for the fans and, for yourself too. So we take it very seriously.
Yeah, the fans appreciate that. Obviously, it's they connect with you in a lot of different ways, whether it's the lyrics or the awesome anthems you have in some of your songs. But I think seeing you guys live, if you, for new fans of the band, if you've never seen Nothing More, it's an electric show. I mean, from beginning to end. So I
Yeah,
encourage anybody to go out there and watch you guys live because you're great. So
too kind. Thanks so much, man.
no problem, man. Well
That's
deserved.
awesome.
Absolutely. So. I wonder, and you've been around, the band's been around a minute. You're well established. I mean, you have so many really great songs. Do you have any recollection of specific songs that, that became great anthems or whatever? At the beginning of the song, maybe you didn't think they had that much potential and then it just kind of surprised you?
I think so, absolutely. I like still to this day, our closer is This Is the Time. And none of us ever thought that it would do what it did, and really break us open and let it be the song that the world really discovers us. It's just a great tempo. It's a great riff. Gets a little progressive in there. Johnny delivers some amazing performances vocally. It is a cool sort of heady, spiritual song with a simple key theme too, lyrically. Yeah, I didn't expect that song on the self-titled record. I'll Be Okay is another big one that has really helped people through some dark times. Um, and I never thought the song Fade In Fade Out would
Mm.
blow up and connect with so many families as well. I thought it was just going to be a me song. I started writing that song when my son was in utero, and I just kind of got this sort of lyric idea, just fade in, fade out, the crossfade of legacy and handing off of the torch. And his name is Phoenix, so it felt, oh man, only more fitting for this whole cycle of things. And then pitched the idea to the guys, and they were into it. And the song totally took a different transformation in the best of ways. And yeah, people, yeah, they they lose it over that song, and I couldn't be more stoked and blessed to hear all these stories um, about that. It's special when something becomes more than it is. More than just four people playing instruments. It's spiritual, special.
That's a neat little story there on that one. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
I was
I
gonna
hate to do this. I know maybe like one more question. I gotta take my son to gymnastics.
got it, man. No, the last thing I was going to tell you is the Go to War went gold. So I was going to congratulate you guys on
Oh,
that. That's pretty cool. In this day and age, that's very hard to
dude,
do.
you're right. Thank you so much for those kind words. Yeah, really, really stoked on that, and it was a shock and a blessing and an honor when it was delivered. That was so cool.
Awesome. Well,
I
keep it
know a
up,
few
man.
other songs are close to that number too, so that's even more exciting. And yes, we will keep it up. And thank
Awesome.
you so much.
But listen, thank you, Mark, for your time. The record comes out on the 28th on Better Noise Records. I know people are going to pick it up because they love your music. So I wish you guys success, and we'll catch you on the road in one of the days here in the
Woo!
fall. So hopefully, thank you,
Absolutely.
brother.
Don't be a stranger. Let's get a beer together. Let's
All
do
right,
it.
take it easy.
Awesome. Take care. Much love. Bye.
Heavy metal rock. Global mind.